Hi, good afternoon. Okay, shall we start the class? Right. So let's look at the module one, which basically covers the deterioration mechanism for steel and concrete. Right. So many of these sections you might have been studied in concrete technology, but in detail, how those deterioration mechanism affects the performance of the structure be seen in this module. All right. So here in the title slide, you can see the image of a pre-stressing strand that is corroded severely. So you can see these are like pre-stressed strands. Those are in side the duct of the member, and it is exposed to the corrosive environment, and thus the strands are corroded severely. So where you can see a lot of breakages here, and uh, you can see this particular thing. So here you can see a point kind of mark there, so that basically indicates a cross section reduction, so which is significantly higher at that point of strand. So this is the actual cross sectional area, or you can say the nominal dia of your strand. But as it has corroded, there is a reduction in the area, that is reduction in diameter, and it has come to the point. So there's this kind of damage mechanism will severely affect the structural performance of the member. So what do? We look at the details of the corrosion mechanism in this lecture and how significant these are in the real life structures. All right. So this is a general outline of the module. So first, let us look at the basic terminologies that we use in this maintenance and rehabilitation of concrete structures, and then its significance. Then we look at the different mechanism involved in corrosion. So when we say corrosion, the corrosion could occur due to carbon dioxide, which we call it as carbonation induced corrosion, and that could be due to the exposure to the chloride environment, so which we call it as chloride induced corrosion. Then we can look at what are the different types of steel reinforcement available to account these type of corrosion mechanisms. So we have several so we have done several modifications in the steel reinforcement so that it can face the, or it can resist the corrosion in a better manner to enhance the performance of the structure. And at the same time, we need to take out certain precautions so that we can avoid corrosion in the environment, which will protect your structure. So what are those types of steel reinforcement and what are the precautions that we can take will be covered under this section. And then we will look at corrosion in pre-stressed concrete systems. So whatever that we discussed so far until this point will be for conventional reinforced concrete system. This will be for conventional reinforced concrete system. Then the mechanism will be slightly different for pre-stressed concrete system, where the strands will be under stressed condition. Okay. So can anyone tell what do you mean by maintenance of the structure before getting into the terminology there?
And we have to look after the structure in such a way that it does not get damaged.
All right. So we have to look after the structure to avoid any damage, right? Any other response? Why the class
Repairing
strength
and
is too
rehab.
low, about 80? Yeah, Hari Prasad.
I'm repairing and rehabilitation.
Yeah, repairing and rehabilitations, those are different terminology in general, right? So I'm just asking particularly about maintenance. So those comes under maintenance, I agree. But in general, when we say maintenance, what does it mean?
I'm periodically looking after the structure so that it doesn't get damaged. Like we prevent
Yeah, Vashni, right.
repairing.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Sudarshan, why the class strength is too low? It's about 84 out of 120.
I have given the message, ma'am. Like, I don't know.
All right. Yeah. So in general, when we say maintenance, it's a preventive technique. Okay. So in order to have ensure the serviceability and durability of the structure. So maintenance in general, it's a preventive technique to enhance or to keep the service condition of the structure so that it will stay for longer duration, so that you can ensure the durability of your structure. So prevention of damage due to natural agencies to keep them in good appearance and working condition. So this is what we mean by maintenance. So we need to periodically check the condition of the structure to ensure its serviceability and durability of the structure, so that we can keep the structure as good as possible, both physically, that is by look wise, as well as mechanically, to ensure its working condition. And under that, we have several categories. So we have different types of maintenance. One is preventive maintenance, routine maintenance, remedial maintenance, and special maintenance. So the preventive maintenance, what we do, we ensure that we use right material for the required application. So the selection of right materials as per the standards and ensuring good workmanship. So these are things, those are under your control, that you can do it while executing the construction, so that you can prevent any things that can go wrong in the future. So those comes under preventive maintenance category. So basically you can choose the right type of materials for the application as per standard requirement, and then ensuring good workmanship. And then routine maintenance is that you have constructed the structure. After that, you have to maintain it, you have to do the regular checkup, so that you can prevent any damage that can cause degradation or decay over the time. So to resist this early decay causing severe damage, you need to periodically check the structure. So that comes under the routine maintenance. That depending on the type of structure that you have and then the importance of this structure, this routine maintenance can be, those can vary. So for some structures you need to do the maintenance work every month. For some structures it may require 6 months once or yearly once. So depending on the type of structure and then the importance of the structure, you can choose the duration of your routine maintenance. And then remedial maintenance is that something that has gone wrong, or the structure has decayed or damaged due to certain condition. So in that case, you are going to give a remedy for the structure to restore its or to restore its functioning, or to rehabilitate the structure. So such type of maintenance is called remedial structure. Basically, you are going to restore or rehabilitate the structure to keep them functioning and prevent further damage. So in this case, there is some amount of damage. So you are going to fix the damage so that you can restore the functionality of the structure. At the same time, you should prevent further damage in the structure so that it can last for longer duration. And then special maintenance. So this comes in the special category. So depending on the condition to which it is exposed, it may need certain special treatments. Right. So these all things comes under maintenance terminology. And then when we look at repair, so we have these three R categories. One is rehabilitation or restoration, and then retrofitting. So when we say repair, well, basically it means that we are going to do certain treatment, or we're going to fix solution for a problem. Okay, so that depends on the strength or capacity of the structure. So if it is a minor damage, you're just going to fix the damages so that you can fix its appearance, and you can ensure that it will not degrade or it will not get damaged over the time during its service period. Otherwise, if your structure is significantly damaged or degraded, so it will not have enough stamina, or you can say it will not have enough capacity to take further loads. So in that case, your structure needs to be strengthened. So that is what we call it as retrofitting. So here you can see the different types of upgradation that we look in the structure when we say maintenance, repair, restoration, and retrofitting of the structure. So here you can consider where you have time in the x-axis and performance of the structure in the y-axis. So this green line basically indicates the original requirement, performance requirement of your structure. All right. So what happens over the time as your structure ages? So there will be decline in the performance. So that is what indicated in this red line, that your performance is getting declined. So it is reducing as your structure is aging. So aging without maintenance. This happens when you do not do maintenance over the time. The structural performance will get reduced. What we can do is that by doing the maintenance regularly, we can push up the performance to the original requirement itself. So that is what indicated in this blue line. So the maintenance will help you to enhance the performance of the structure over the time. Again, it will, you will start seeing the decline in the performance over the time when you have maintenance as well. So here you can see, again, when you do not have a maintenance, if there is any accident or damage to the structure, then your performance will be significantly reduced. You can see a sudden drop here. So your performance is significantly reduced here, and then it gradually degrade over the time. So this is where you know that your structure needs to be repaired to keep its performance in a higher level. So when you do repair, so that comes under the maintenance category. So you can enhance the performance, but still it will be lower than the original requirement, right? And again, here this basically indicates, so you already know that the blue line basically indicates aging with maintenance and repair work. So what we do is over the time, so depending on the type of structure or the importance of the structure, the repair cost will vary. So instead of spending a lot of money in the repair cost, some will prefer to choose a minor repair work, so that even though the performance is not equal to the original requirement, there will be cases which will just satisfy the basic needs from the structure. So in that case, this maintenance would be enough. In that case, you will have performance indicated by this blue line. So where you have degradation in performance over, sorry, my pen is not working here. Yeah. So over certain duration. So this could be like 50 years or 20 years depending on the type of your structure. Suppose if you want to have the original requirement of the performance, sorry, if you want to have the performance as in the original structure, then it's where it comes restoration of the structure. So you can restore the structure by enhancing its performance. So we have certain treatments for this restoration so that you can bring back to its original requirement. So even though the performance is declined, so by doing restoration, you can get back to the original requirement of your structure. Again, if for example, the bridges that we use, so this I have mentioned in the previous class also. So many of the bridges that we have were constructed before some 50 years back or 20 years back. So the demand or the requirement for bridge construction during that time was different than what we have today. So today we have increased traffic volume and then the demand is also increased. So the capacity for meeting today's requirement is different than what we had before. So what we need to do is we have a new requirement for meeting the current demand for the current scenario. So in that case, we need to retrofit the structure so that we can meet the new requirement. So this comes under the retrofitting category, where you are enhancing the performance more than the what the original structure had. So that comes under retrofitting category. To meet the new requirement, you are going to significantly increase the performance of the structure. So the structure must be upgraded to meet the performance requirements. So this is applicable to all type of structures that we use. So in some cases, in urban places, you can see a lot of high-rise buildings nowadays because we have increased population. So the density of the people in that place is huge. So initially, like we had 2 stories and then 5 stories. Now we are going multiple stories, even up to 40 in the current practices. So to meet the performance requirement, the structure has to be maintained and checked its condition should be checked so that we can do the upgradation whenever it is required. Right. So that is what about. So this basically summarizes the terminologies or the functionalities that we use for these structures, especially for this maintenance and rehabilitation of concrete structures. So let us look at different causes for structural failure. Right. So in the last class, I have given a small assignment, right? So I asked you to look at the damages around your surroundings. So did you observe any? Yes or no?
Mostly it's the cracking, ma'am.
So have you taken a photo of that structure?
Yes, ma'am, I have it with me.
Okay. So whoever has observed such things and have taken photos, please share those things so that we can have a discussion in the next class whenever the appropriate topic comes. I can show those images captured by you for a discussion. So that will be like more interactive for this theory course. So you have observed cracking, right? So can you explain what type of cracking on what type of structural element?
Ma'am, I have noticed the cracks in the stairs. So like I couldn't find what type of cracking it is, but I think it is due to time. Like over the time, the cracking has increased. Mostly, I think it's
Yeah,
due
of
to the
course, it is
temperature
due to
swing.
time. So is it inside or outside the
Outside, ma'am.
building? Outside.
Outside.
So based on the crack pattern, we can observe, we can try to identify the cause also. So based on the location and then based on the type of crack pattern that you have, we can try to understand what could be the reason for such damages. All right. So please share those images if you have observed any, and we can use those things for our project also. So I have mentioned, no? So at the end I'll be giving a project. So you can take those things as the project for your assignment. Right. So here are some causes that we can identify for a structural failure. So the first one is the materials that we use in the construction. So if the material is degrading or deteriorating, then that may lead to structural failure. So this happens due to the as the material is exposed to aggressive environment, and that cannot withstand those aggressive environments, so that will start degrading, and such degradation would lead to structural failure. The second reason would be the type of selection of materials. If you have chosen a poor material for construction, and that will lead to substandard quality of construction, and subsequently that will lead consequently you will have a structural failure over the time. And then the type of concrete that you use, if it is a poor quality concrete, that will lead to a structural failure. And then the workmanship involved in the construction. If the workers who are constructing, if they don't know what they are doing, and they'll just do whatever they can, that may lead to structural failure. For example, in site, if the concrete mix is not proper, if the worker doesn't know what is concrete at all, if he just pouring water that is more than the required, that will lead to poor quality of concrete. So these are some examples which can go wrong, or which will lead to poor workmanship at the site. So that will lead to structural failure. And then using the wrong specification. So that means, so the national or international codes, they have certain specifications to be followed for certain applications or certain materials. So when we need to follow those specifications, we should follow the appropriate specification specified for the application, the type of construction or the structure that you are going to construct, or the type of material that you are going to use. So if you're not using appropriate specification, and if you're using a wrong specification for a construction, that will lead to structural failure. And then waterproofing failure. As I mentioned in the previous class, water is one of the enemy for these structures. So when water comes in contact, a lot of materials will start reacting with water, and that will lead to degradation. So we will observe a lot of structural failures. So it is very important to provide waterproofing wherever it is required. If it doesn't provided properly, sorry, if you have not provided properly, then that will lead to waterproofing failure. And inadequate detailing. So detailing is basically represents the amount of steel that you will be providing to withstand the tensile stress, to take care of the tensile stress of the structure when it is exposed or when it is subjected to different loading condition. So if you have provided inadequate detailing, then that will lead to structural failure. And extreme loads. So if you have constructed the structure for meeting one particular capacity, but in some cases, in an unexpected way, you may have huge wind load, or you may have severe earthquake loads, those things. So those comes under this extreme load category, and that may lead to structural failures. So here you can see in the pie chart, which represents how these causes, like the proportion these things could affect the structural failures. So among this, the extreme loads plays a major uh, cause for structural failure, which is about 38%. And then you have poor quality of concrete and poor selection of materials. Then use of inadequate concrete. What happens when you have inadequate concrete? Inadequate cover. What does it mean? What is concrete cover? What is the role of concrete cover?
To prevent the reinforcement from the environment.
basically to protect the reinforcement from the environment, right? So that is what we call it as cover concrete. So we need to provide adequate cover concrete to protect the steel rebar or reinforcement that we have provided. So if the cover concrete is not adequate, or if you have provided a very less cover concrete, then the purpose will not be like, then you will not meet your purpose, right? So the code has specified to follow different cover depths based on the environmental condition in which your construction is going to be. So if it is a mild environment, or if it is very severe or severe condition, you can increase the cover depth. So typically it ranges about 30 to 50 cover depth depending on the exposure condition. In a very extreme cases, you can go up to 75 cover depth. So IS 1346, sorry, IS 456 basically gives these details for cover grade. So typically in normal range, it ranges about 30 to 50 In extreme cases, you can go up to 75 So now let's look at some cases where you can observe structural failure due to corrosion. So this is one of the classic case study that we can look for such corrosion failure. So this is a Sunshine Skyway Bridge in Florida. So this was constructed in 1980s, and it was, you can see a ship has hit the structure and that got collapsed. So what later to fix that, parallelly, so they have constructed or replaced those segments post tension bridges. You can see post tension bridges here in the second image, which was constructed in 1987. So the bridges, so typically what would be the service life of the bridge that we construct?
100 years.
Yeah, so we expect the bridge to serve for 100+ years, right? And then we do retrofitting work if required to enhance the performance. And we generally don't go with demolition of bridges unless it is required in the worst case. So we do check for the condition, and if required, we do repair and rehabilitation work to enhance the performance to meet the demand. So here in this case, you just imagine that within 13 years, the structure is failed due to corrosion. So the PT tendons of new bridge has failed within 13 years. So 13 years means very less when you expect your bridge to serve for 100+ years. So this is relatively, it's like a very young bridge which has failed due to corrosion. So in the case study, you can see that the tendons, so that is the pre-stressing steel strand, which is there in the post-tension segments. You can see those strands has corroded significantly, and two tendons has failed completely, which had led to collapse of the bridges. So this is one of the good example to indicate, also to sensitize the importance of to sensitize the importance of rehabilitation work or retrofitting work. So why do we need maintenance regularly? So that if the structure is maintained properly at a regular frequent interval, it might have been addressed in the very early stage itself, so we can prevent such type of collapse by identifying the failure in the very initial stage itself. So we would have provided a strategy to fix those problems such a way we can avoid such a huge failure. Another example is that Golden Gate Bridges in San Francisco. So here we can see the number of steel strands used in the construction, such a huge number, about 25,000, 28,000, about 27 to 28,000 of strands used in each main cables. So and it is exposed to the sea environment, which is highly corrosive. So it's very important to maintain such structure from corrosion. So we almost every day there you can see a maintenance works to ensure the coatings in general provided to prevent corrosion has maintained properly. If not, they'll just coat the structure wherever it is required as shown here. And in some sections you can see the rebars were exposed due to the concrete spalling because of corrosion. And this is another example in so I'm just showing the failure cases in a developed country so that you can imagine how severe these cases would be in our nation. And this is a case in Canada which indicates the Mercier Bridge. You can see a lot of concrete spalling here. So you can see in this portion almost all the concretes have fallen, and here you can see a lot of cracks on the column, and here you can see the rebars reinforcements or exposed. So in India, so pre-stressed concrete structure, those concept has emerged in late 70s or 80s. So we do not have such reported cases yet, but we will be observing lot of similar cases in the near future. So when we talk about corrosion, so let us look at the cost involved in this corrosion. How much we spent for repairing such structures. Okay, so the cost involved in corrosion is significant, and you can see this is prepared by corrosion, like this is prepared by Federal Highway Authority in US. So which shows the corrosion cost split up, utilized for different categories. So one is for infrastructure categories where you do spend a lot of money for highway bridges, gas and liquid transmission pipelines, waterways and ports and airports, railroads. Another category is that utilities, basically that covers the hazardous materials that we use for storage, electrical utilities, and then telecommunications, gas distribution, drinking water and sewer systems. Then it covers the transportation category, so where you have a lot of motor vehicles with different type of metals used which could corrode, and ships, aircrafts, railroad cars, hazardous material transport. And then fourth category is that production and manufacturing. And you have oil and gas storage or production of such oil and gas things. So if something goes wrong, that could cause a lot of severe damages. Exploration. So this covers mining, petroleum refining, chemicals, pulp and paper, agriculture production, food processing, electronics, home appliance. And then we have national important structures that comes under the government called defense and nuclear waste storage. So when we consider the infrastructure or the where the concrete material involves, so that comes under these two categories. So a lot of structure used under these two categories or made using concrete and steel together. So those could be reinforced concrete structures. So the cost involved in such categories, you can see it is about 34.7% for utilities and about 15% for our infrastructure. If you sum, we are spending about 50% of the total cost involved for corrosion is for such infrastructure project, and rest is for other categories, right? So in India, if you look at this cost, based on the survey in 2014, it is estimated that we are spending about 4 lakhs crore per year for fixing this corrosion issue. So that means it comes around about 3 to 4% of our nation's GDP. So in this cost, up to 50% of the cost will go for construction budgets, and then the remaining 50%. Yeah. So among this 3 to 4% of GDP, so up to 50% will go go for this construction budget, and 50% of structures that we expect to get repaired in about 10 years. So this cost can go even higher than what we are looking today. Among these, 30% of the cost is for repairing steel, and 40% of cost is used for repairing cement. So what we can do is we have to find appropriate corrosion protection strategy so that we can minimize such cost involved for repair and maintenance work. So whatever technology that we have now that is available to achieve long corrosion, whatever technology that is required is to meet the corrosion free service life. So that means we want our structure to provide its service without any corrosion damage. So there is a technology requirement for that to achieve long corrosion free service life. So there are technologies available in such a way that we can meet this goal, where we can expect our structures to serve for longer duration without getting affected by corrosion. So we can look at those strategies. What are the things that we can do to prevent the corrosion so that we can enhance the performance of the structure? Again, this slide sensitize the importance of corrosion in our nation, because you can see our nation is covered this has a long coastal line as indicated here in this red mark. So you can see the bottom image, so where you can see a lot of, you can see a long coastal line. So when we have such long coastal lines, so we do spend a lot of money to construct structures to connect those places from one to another. So we have constructed a lot of highways and seaports or airports near those structures, and we will be constructing such type of infrastructure in future also. So it is very important to take care that those structures are not getting corroded due to its exposed condition. So we have huge task of maintaining the aging infrastructure and constructing new durable infrastructure systems. So this you can see as a corrosion map of India. So here you can see the different categories where you can have negligible corrosion condition and where you have mild corrosion condition. Here in this place, this gray indicates the negligible corrosion condition because the exposed region, like those are not as exposed like the bottom one as shown here. And then moderate comes under the center part of the nation, and severe is slightly outer part of the center, and then extremely severe represents all the coastal lines that we have in our country, so which is exposed to Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean, and Bay of Bengal. So in such cases, the carbon dioxide level will also be vary. The humidity condition will be vary. So the humidity condition will be about 50 to 70%, and then the temperature in these ranges will be the range of 15 to 45 degrees Celsius. And when you have industrial area, so the carbonation level will also be high in the air. So these things will lead to chloride induced corrosion when you have marine environment, and when you have high humidity, and when you have high carbon dioxide content in the air, that may lead to carbon induced corrosion. So the carbon induced corrosion or carbonation will not occur when the humidity ranges more than 70%, or if it is less than 50%. That means if your structure or if the environment is too wet, your structure will not be affected by carbonation, or if the environment is too dry, then it will not be affected by carbonation. So for carbonation to occur, you need to have an ideal environment in which the humidity ranges from 50 to 70%, and then the temperature that also plays a role in accelerating the corrosion. You can see the coastal line in our nation, it is about 7,000 kilometers, which is significantly high. So it requires a lot of attention to prevent corrosion, right? So the local exposure condition must be considered. Whenever we construct a structure, we have to consider the local exposure condition. Accordingly, you can change the requirements for meeting the demand. So for example, if you are constructing a chemical plant, then you have to look at what is the local exposed condition. So how about the exposed environment, whether it is marine environment or normal environment. So in using this corrosion map, you can check whether this comes under extremely severe category or mild category. And then the temperature effect also, if the temperature is less or high. So depending on that, you can choose the materials for construction. And carbonation governs corrosion when there are no chlorides. So if there is no chloride, then only like carbonation becomes a significant one to affect the corrosion. So in general, the carbonation induced corrosion is less harm compared to chloride induced corrosion, right? So I'll tell you why this is less harm compared to the chloride one in the later stage when we look in detail about the corrosion mechanisms. Right. So let's just have a quick discussion. What is corrosion? Then we will get into this. So what is corrosion? What mechanism is involved in the process?
Ma'am, corrosion is a chemical attack on the concrete surface, ma'am, which is due to the oxides present in the air.
Corrosion is a chemical attack in the concrete surface, or
On the surface of the concrete, which is so it will the oxides will penetrate inside that and it will corrode the inside. Means it will create rusting in the reinforcement.
okay, fine. You're right. So when we look at the mechanism here, so it starts, we can say as a whole. So it starts from iron ore and it comes back to what it was. So when we manufacture the steel, so we start the steel manufacturing from the iron ore, right? So we take the iron ore and then we process it, we melt the material, and then we do processing it to get the required rebar size or shape, whatever that we need to get, so that we obtain during this process. And when that is exposed to the exposure condition, then it reacts with available moisture and oxygen in the environment, and then that gets oxidized and the reaction gets reversed. So you can see here you have oxygen and water, and that reacts with the iron till you get ferric oxide. And then with further exposure, so it reacts further with the oxygen and water, and this ferric oxide, it then gets as iron ore Fe2O3. So the process is like dust to dust. So we are manufacturing the steel rebar or any steel section that is going to corrode from the dust, and because of corrosion it gets back to its initial stage. So this basically indicates that it gets back to its lowest energy state due to corrosion, right? So when we can call, because of this we call this corrosion as extractive metallurgy in reverse. So then we'll just get in detail about a little this composition involved in this steel. So when we have the steel, so basically that has different elements in it. So the ferrous alloys with the various elements are used for making a reinforcing steel. So it will not be like an actual iron alone. So there will be other elements also added in the processing, so that those elements will help you to obtain the required strength or ductility of your material. So you have copper, you have aluminum, nickel, chromium, manganese, silica, carbon, and so on. So this carbon content, it basically indicates, it represents the strength of your material, right? So for mild steel, you can see the carbon content is less, but for TMT, it has increased slightly, and for pre-stressing steel, the carbon content is increased significantly. So as you increase the carbon content, your strength will be increasing, but at the same time, when the strength is increasing, the ductility of the material will get reduced, right? So here, what is the strength of mild steel? Any of number, for mild steel, what would be the strength? Ultimate strength.
Ma'am, 440 Newton per millimeter square.
I'll say that is for TMT steel, 415, Fe 415, right? That basically represents the grade. If we look at the ultimate strength, you may go 500 or 550 for TMT.
250 now.
So for mild steel, it is 250. So this is Fy, yield strength, right? So whatever that grade represents, that represents the yield strength. So the ultimate strength would vary. So for pre-stressing steel, the ultimate strength, that is Fu, so that would be 1860 MPa, Newton per mm square. So this will be almost 4 to 5 times of what we have for conventional steel rebars. So the ductility will be higher for mild steel, and then it will be slightly lesser for TMT, and for pre-stressing steel, the ductility will be very less, so it will fail in a brittle manner. That is why the corrosion in pre-stressed concrete is very crucial than the corrosion in reinforced concrete system, because the failure will be sudden. So all this composition, all the elements in the ferrous alloy plays a role in governing each properties of your steel, and in that nickel and chromium, that plays a role in resisting the corrosion performance. So if you want to have if you want your structure a reinforcement to have a corrosion resistivity, then you can increase these properties so that you can make your reinforcement more corrosion free rebar. But you have to follow the standard specifications, and the specification has to be met as specified in the standard. So what we can do is, you can alter those elements slightly during the manufacturing process, but some elements are costly, so when you alter the element, the cost of the material will also go high. So the cost plays a major role in selecting what material to be used for construction. Based on that, the materials will be chosen. So depending on the importance of the structure, the cost involved will vary. All right, I'll continue this from the next class, this concrete portion and other things. So in the next class, we will look at this introduction to concrete, and how the corrosion mechanism plays a role when we have concrete and steel together in its position, like the case in the reinforced concrete system, and how the corrosion mechanism takes place to corrode these structures. All those things we'll look in the next class. So tomorrow we'll have the class at 4 o'clock.